Hi, and welcome to your class. I'm Laura, and today I'm going to lead you through a practice that will do a lot of work into our sides, lengthening and strengthening, and then we'll also do a little bit of back bends at the end, as we'll be very nice and warmed up through the spine and through the core. So all you should really need for this practice is, of course, your lovely yoga mat and a pair of yoga blocks. We're going to get started just in a cross-legged seat, and from here, we're just going to go ahead and start by getting grounded on our mat and bringing ourselves into our practice with our breath. So go ahead and let your hands rest gently onto your knees. Find your tallest self, lifting the heart center up so that the crown of the head reaches up nice and tall. And then from here, we let the shoulders relax down the back, creating space between our shoulders and our ears. The arm is just feeling slightly heavy. And we start to move into our breath, using our breath as a cue throughout our practice to keep that inhalation and the exhalation flowing. So we allow the energy to keep moving through the body, giving ourselves the freedom to find space and to move a little deeper. Gentle inhales and exhales throughout your practice. If your eyes are closed, you can gently blink them open. We're going to start with some gentle side body leans. So we'll inhale, prepare. And as you exhale, place the right hand down to the right side. And we're going to bring that left arm up and overhead, maybe bend just slightly into the right elbow. Inhale, come up through center. As you exhale, we'll do the same thing on the left side, keeping the right hip planted down onto the ground. And then come up through center as you inhale. We're just going to do this graceful flow back and forth, inhaling as we come up. Soft exhale as we move over to the side, warming up the side body. Taking your time, you don't need to move at the same pace as I do. We're just warming up the side ribs, even into the hips as we keep that opposite hip planted onto the mat. We don't want it tilting and following us as we tilt to the side. We want to keep ourselves grounded onto the mat so we reach long through the fingertips and create that length all the way down the side body. The next time when you end up with your right hand onto the mat, we're going to stay there, pause, and stay in this side body lean, reaching long with the left fingertips, making sure our left hip or sit bone is planted down. And then from here, if you feel like you have the space, you can bend into the right elbow, maybe even lowering the right forearm all the way down onto the mat. Or a good option is placing the right forearm down onto a block if you feel like you're much more supported and you can feel that you can ground into the pose this way. We're going to pause here. Again, keep breathing. Nice breaths in through the nose and out through the nose if you're able. Pressing the left hip down into the mat and then start to reach even further with those left fingertips, stretching out the left side body. Inhale. Exhale. One more breath in. And as you exhale, let's press into the right hand. We're going to come up through center. And then we're going to side body lean over to the left. Plant the left hand down. Again, we'll find a hold. You can either pause with your elbow lifted, reaching towards the opposite side of the room with your right fingertips. Maybe you want to lower it all the way down onto the mat with your left forearm, planting it down onto the mat, or a block if you want to be a little higher. And we're going to stretch out that right side body, pressing down into the mat with the right hip, the right glute. And then reaching. Can you find a little more length? Maybe a millimeter. Grow extra long on the underside of that right arm. Rolling the chest so it opens up. You're getting sunlight onto the front of the heart. Very good. On the next inhale, we're going to press into that left hand. Reach both of the arms up. And then let's settle the arms down. From here, we're going to do some corkscrews seated. So in your corkscrews, we're going to round into the chest and into the ribs, and we're going to draw a circle with the ribs like we're on the inside of a barrel. We're going to take the hands to the front of the knees, so we have a nice grip on our knees. From here, we're going to tuck the tailbone, round the tailbone, draw the belly button in, and then draw the chin to the chest as you round and spread apart the shoulders across the back. So we're almost in a cat pose. And then from here, we're going to start to move the ribs, the right ribs, towards the right side of the mat. And then we're going to trace a circle like we're inside that barrel. As we come to the front of the barrel, the front of the heart center tries to reach the front of the barrel, almost like we're in a cow position. You can even lift the chin, lift the head if that feels good. And then we're going to draw that circle. Keep moving the ribs now. The left ribs reach over to the left. And as we come to the back of our barrel, we again tuck our tailbone, draw our belly button in, rounding with the chin in towards the chest, and keep drawing your circle. A very mindful circle as we rotate and get some movement into the upper body. Working that thoracic portion of the spine. Very good. Let's take one more in this direction, and then we're going to reverse it, and we'll take 3 in the opposite direction. Notice I'm moving very slowly. It can feel really good to pause in any area that needs a little extra time too. So if you want to just hang out, you can pause in one spot. Reverse your circle when you're ready. We're going to try to do 3 more in the opposite direction. And once you've done your 3 circles, you can go ahead and come back to neutral, lifting the head, lifting the chest, and finding our seated position. Once more, we'll do those side body leans, but we're going to change it up a little bit here. So we're going to take the left hand and bring it in between the shoulder blades, and the left elbow reaches up towards the sky. Try to keep it away from the head so it's not pushing the head forward. And again, we're going to take the right hand down over to the side, maybe walk it out a little bit, perhaps bend into the right elbow, but we're going to side body lean over to the right. Same premise here. We're going to keep the left hip grounded. If you want to place the right forearm down onto the mat, you can reach for the mat or grab your block, but we're going to try to stay open. Press that left elbow behind you. At the same time, maybe you can reach the left elbow a little bit higher. Nice breath in, opening up through those side ribs. And then on the next inhale, press into the right hand, come back up through neutral. We're going to switch out the hands, and we'll take the right hand, bring it in between those shoulder blades. Make sure your right elbow is staying open and away from your head and not scrunching down. Place the left hand down over to your mat, and then we'll walk the left arm out, side body lean to the left, bend that elbow, adjust a little bit so that you can find where you feel supported, maybe lower all the way down. Again, open up the elbow, revolve the chest, and then maybe can you reach the elbow a little bit higher. It's a pretty good shoulder opener too, so if you feel restricted, know that it's not just the side body. This is going to work on your shoulders as well. And then on the next inhale, we're going to push it up. Go ahead and give the shoulders a little bit of a shrug. Move them around. And then from here, we're going to actually come over into our tabletop. From our tabletop, let's just take our hands right underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, and we're going to do some side body movements just in tabletop. We're going to do some squeezes. We're going to start to turn the left hip. Try to squeeze the left hip towards the left shoulder, almost like you're looking behind you. Your glutes shift over to the left, squeezing those side ribs. And then we're going to do the same thing on the right. Draw the right hip up towards the back of the right shoulder. Your head swings and gazes behind you, really squeezing in. And then again to the left. Keep breathing through this. Really good compression, working on trying to draw that hip and the shoulder together. Moving over to the right, squeeze. And let's bring it back to the left, squeeze. And again to the right, one last time. Where we turn it back through center, tuck your toes, and then we'll push back into our downward facing dog. Your downward facing dog, since this might be your first one, we're going to press really, really long into the arms, pushing the hands down into the mat, lifting the tailbone up high to the sky. Maybe walk the feet out if the back of the legs are pretty tight. No worries about if your heels don't touch the ground, but we want the heels to feel nice and heavy and start to wake up the back of the legs. And then come to stillness, feet about hip width distance apart, pushing the heels towards the ground. Again, they don't need to touch. A couple of breaths in your downward facing dog. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale it out. On your next breath in, let's go ahead and lift those heels up nice and high, coming up high onto the balls of the feet in our downward facing dog. And then we're going to swing the heels off to the back right corner of the mat. As you do this, make sure your shoulders are actually still squared to the front of the mat. So we aren't starting to revolve our shoulders. We're just moving our heels, and our hips are now shifting off to the back right side of the mat. You're probably going to feel a stretch into the underside of that left arm. Again, working on that lateral side body. If you want to take this a little deeper, I like to bend both of my knees just slightly so I can make some space, and then take the left foot and step it to the outside of the right foot. It might come off the mat a little bit, but this will make it a little more intense underneath that left arm. One more breath. And exhale, release. We can go ahead and come back through center, finding your downward facing dog. One breath here. And release. Your next inhale will come up high onto the balls of the feet again, and then we're going to spin those heels. Spin them over to the left, back left corner of the mat. This time, we're checking our shoulders. We're pressing the hips back into the left. Hands are firmly planted, length in the arms. And then if you want to make it a little deeper, bend both of the knees so you have space. So you can take that right foot and step it to the outside of the left foot, maybe coming off the side of the mat. And from here, your leg will be nice and straight. Your right leg will be straight. Maybe you'll even be up on the ball of the foot. If you don't have the heel flat, that's fine. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and come back up into center, finding your downward facing dog. Very good. Let's go ahead and inhale, lift the heels once more, coming up high onto the balls of the feet. Then we're going to draw that right knee into the chest. Draw it in really, really tight. Tiger, curling that knee into the chest. Start to shift the weight forward, rounding into the upper back. Create some space so you can plant the right foot down. And then from here, we're going to lower the left foot, or the left knee, down onto the mat. Finding our low lunge. Now, in this variation, grab your blocks. I like them up on the highest level. And shift your hips forward and down. It doesn't need to be in the fullest expression of your low lunge. We're going to work on getting a little bit deeper here by doing some nerve flossing. So from this position, you're going to have your hands on your blocks for balance. You're going to tuck your tailbone. Really tuck your tailbone, draw your navel in. You might feel your whole body rise up just slightly. And then you're going to draw the left knee towards the top of the mat. At the same time, feel yourself pull the right foot into the back of the mat, like you're trying to squeeze the mat together. Tailbone is tucked. And one last element, we're going to draw the chin to the chest. Really pull it in.
You might feel the front of that left hip light up. And then go ahead and lift the chin and then relax the low body and see if you come a little bit more deeper into your low lunge. Might be a tiny bit. You might just feel a little bit more at ease in the posture. We're going to do that one more time in this new depth. And we're going to start by tucking the tailbone. Again, you might rise just slightly. And then again, we're going to draw the left knee and the right heel together, squeezing, 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 feeling everything shake a little bit down below, and then draw the chin to the chest. Really pull it in like you're giving yourself a double chin. I can barely talk. And then lift the chin, relax the squeeze on the low body, and then there we are in our low lunge. So we're going to stay here and we're going to keep this nice stretch into the low body, but we'll do some side body leans. So again, we're going to move with the breath. Take your time. We have the blocks here for balance. We're going to inhale the left arm up. As you exhale, come through neutral and lower. Inhale, right arm up. Reaching over to the opposite side. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. Just flow with your own breath. Really, as long as you're breathing in and out, you are doing it just fine. You don't need to time it correctly, like in the same time as I'm doing the posture. We just want that freedom of the breath moving through the body. And then once more, as we go over to the right and place the right hand onto the block, we're going to leave that left arm up and over, and we'll hold in this side body lean. As you do this leaning towards the right, make sure that the weight of the hips still stays down and maybe a little to the left. Very good. Let's go ahead and come back up through neutral. Give those hips a little break. And we're going to shift back so that the left hip is in line with the left knee. And we're going to straighten that right foot or right leg out in front of us. So you might need to step the right foot out a little further. From here, we're going to do a strengthening exercise into our hips and into our right quads. You might want your blocks. You can have your blocks on the low, medium, or high height, or get rid of them altogether. The closer you are to your mat, the harder these will be. We're going to work on our compression skills. So from here, the toes are pointed up towards our nose. We're going to round into our back by pressing into our blocks and spreading the shoulders out nice and wide. And then we're going to lift the heel up off the ground. I don't care how high it is. It could be just a millimeter. And then lower for 1. Lift it for 2. Lower. 3. Lower. 4. Lower. 5. We'll do 6. 7, and then 8. Can you hold it for 3, 2, 1? Relax that right leg down. Those are a lot of work. From here, you can set your blocks off to the side. And we're going to walk ourselves over towards the left edge of the mat. Spin the left foot behind you. So now it comes off the right side. Keeping the right leg straight, we're going to lean over and place the left hand down. So in a line, you should have left hand, left knee, and then the right foot. Your right foot press firmly into the outer edge of the right foot. And then as you inhale, we're going to open up, drawing a beautiful rainbow from the outer edge of our right foot to our right pinky. Opening up our side body, enjoying the stretch here in a static hold. On your next breath, can you bring that right arm up towards the sky? Maybe can you float the right foot up off of the mat? Even if it's only up an inch or 2, go ahead and try to lift. From here, we're going to draw the right knee in to the right hand, pressing them into each other. So you're pressing into the right knee like you're trying to push it away from the body. And then from here, we're going to open up, reaching the right arm up and overhead, stretching the right foot out. If you want to press the right foot or let it rest on the ground for a moment, go ahead. We're going to draw the knee back in, press it into the right hand for 2, open it up, and then go ahead and bring it in, squeeze on the exhale for 3, open, and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze for 4, open, squeeze it in for 5, open. You could feel your glutes working on this. Go ahead and set that right foot down onto the mat. We're going to rotate the chest, and then we're going to face the back of our mat. From the back of our mat, we're just going to go right back into our downward facing dog, pressing into it, lifting the hips up high, straightening the arms, feeling the shoulders spread wide across the back. Let's go ahead and take a nice cleansing breath here. Inhale, exhale it out. On your next breath in, let's come up high onto the balls of the feet. Once more, we're going to draw the left knee into the chest this time, drawing it in, making it come in very, very tightly as we shift the weight forward onto our mat, creating space so we can draw that left foot up in between the hands and then set the right knee down. Again, we're coming into our low lunge, so we want to grab our blocks. Take your blocks, place them on, if I can grab them, there we are, the highest height. And we're going to come into where we feel we can come comfortably into our low lunge. And now we're going to see if we can explore more depth by doing those nerve movements, those nerve flossing movements. So from this position, we're going to tuck our tailbone. Again, you might rise a little bit away from your mat because you're tucking the tailbone so much, drawing the belly button in, and then squeeze the left heel towards the right knee, like you're trying to wrinkle the mat. The last step is to draw the chin to the chest, pull it in. Maybe you can reach the chest, draw the head down slightly. Very good. Keep the squeeze, but release the chin. And now relax the lower body. Maybe you come a little bit more deeper into your lunge. You might have to adjust your blocks. Very good. One more time. We're going to do that squeeze. Start with the tailbone tuck, drawing the belly button in, and then start to squeeze the legs. So the lower body might be shaking and quaking here. Really squeeze, and then draw the chin to the chest. Pull it in. Really hold the chin in, feeling the stretch. Increase into the front of the right hip crease. And then release the chin. Relax the lower body. All right, now we are nice and low in our lunge. Once more, side body leans. Use your blocks. Flow with the breath. We'll inhale the right arm up and over. And exhale as you go across. Moving with the breath, using the arms just to get even more movement into the upper body, but it also is a little distraction from the deep stretch into our hips. Flowing back and forth a couple more times. And then we'll land on the left side, reach the right arm up and over to the right. We'll pause and hold here for a couple of breaths. All right, next breath brings us to neutral. Let's go ahead and shift the hips back. Come out of that deep lunge. Right hip above the right knee. You can take your blocks back with you, straightening out that left leg so it comes in through center line and the left toes point up, and we'll find those leg lifts. So again, finding your height on your blocks. We're going to start by rounding into the upper body to create space. Really draw that belly button in tightly. We'll press down into the mat or the blocks and we'll lift for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew, and lower it down. Very good. From here, we're going to swing that right foot off the back edge of the mat, placing our blocks out of the way. And we're going to bring the right hand to the top of the mat. Adjust here. I like to have my right shin at an angle. Right hand, right knee, and the left foot are in line. Press into the outside edge of that left foot, and then inhale the left arm up and overhead, reaching out. This great big arc from our left pinkies down to our left pinky toe. And then we're going to reach a little bit further, all the way towards the front of the room. And when you're ready, let's bring that left arm up. We'll rotate the chest so it's facing more of the front of the room. And then can you float that left foot up off of the mat? From here, we're going to do those knees pull ins we'll try to do 5. We're going to draw the left knee into the left hand. Press against that left knee with your left hand. And feel how challenging that is. And then open it up. Again, you can let your left foot touch down onto the mat if you need a little break because the leg gets heavy. And then we're going to squeeze it in for 2. Open. Squeeze it in for 3. Open. Squeeze for 4. We open. And last one, 5. Squeeze. Open it up. And then let's set that left foot down onto the mat. We'll rotate the chest again to face the mat. And then from here, we're going to push back up into our downward facing dog. Enjoying that downward facing dog. Pushing into it, using it as a resting pose. Inhale. Exhale, release. Let's do one more like that. Inhale. And exhale, release it out. Very good. Let's inhale, come up high into the balls of the feet. We're going to tiptoe, tiptoe, tiptoe all the way to the front of the mat. Very good. From your front part of the mat, the feet are hip width apart. We're coming into a halfway's lift. You can always have the blocks underneath your hands if that helps you feel like you maintain a flat back. And from here, we're going to take, again, a lateral position, which will feel a little different, well, maybe a lot different in your fold. But we're going to keep the feet facing forward and just walk the hands off to the right side of the mat. Notice as you do this, the whole upper body might want to turn, but our goal is to keep that left hip pushed back to the back side of the room. So the hips are still squared off really to the front of your mat. We're just pulling the upper body and the arms off to the right side. Really plant the fingertips, plant them over to the right, and then think about pushing that left hip back a little bit further. Take a deep breath into the underside of the arms, draw it in through the spine, all the way down the back of the legs. Exhale. And your next breath, we're going to walk it through center. We're going to keep our hips squared off to the front of the room, but we're walking the hands over to the left side, maybe off the left edge of the mat. Push that right hip back, and towards the back of the room. That helps keep them nice and square. Nice deep breath in. And release it out. We'll walk the hands back through center, coming up to our flat back. Bend the knees slightly, take the hands to the hips, and then we're going to roll it on up, coming up to our standing position. From standing, we're going to take another side body lean, working into the upper body this time. So feet firmly planted, maybe a little bend into the knees. So we have a little springiness into our bottom, and yet we still feel grounded. But we want to take the right hand to in between the shoulder blades. And from here, we're going to connect the right hand, draw the left arm up and over, and grab a hold of the right elbow. Now check your lower body. Once more, a slight bend in the knees. We're going to draw the navel in so that our ribs stay nice and closed. And from here, we're going to side body lean over to the left. As you do this, can you keep opening with your chest? Rotating the chest, revolving it to the right so that the right elbow stays nice and high. Maybe reach a little bit higher into the sky with your right elbow. On your next breath, let's come back up through center. Release the arms. Shake them out if you need a minute. And then we'll take the left hand in between the shoulder blades. Reach the right arm up. Grab a hold of that left elbow. And we're going to side body lean over to the right side. Reaching, reaching, reaching. Letting the hips shift more to the left as we keep the elbow open, the chest open. Finding our breath. Very good. Let's go ahead and come back up. Release the arms, shake them out a little bit here. From here, we're going to find a little balance, waking up the lower legs. We'll inhale, reach the arms up, come up onto your tiptoes as high as you can. And then as you exhale, lower down. We'll take 10 of those in total. Lift for 2 and lower. Lift for 3 and down. 4 and down. 5, lower. 6 and down. 7 and lower. 8 and down, 9 and lower, and 10. Let's stay high up onto the balls of the feet, staying on our tiptoes. Let's bring the arms until they're level with our chest, palms facing down, and we're going to stay on our tiptoes as we slowly lower into a toe stand. So let's keep the chest lifted, but we're going to bend into the knees and lower very slowly. Slowly, we'll pause. So we're about midway, pausing here. The legs are shaking, I know. And then we're going to go ahead and keep lowering it down until we come to our toe stand, balancing onto our heels. Now again, my blocks have wandered away from me, so I'm going to wander back so I can reach my blocks. If you need to have blocks in front of you for balance for your toe stand, go ahead and use them. Try to keep the weight off of them as little as possible so that you can help get a little more activation into the bottoms of the feet, feeling those little muscles, those balancing muscles work and trying to do their jobs. Now from our toe stand, we're going to lower into a toe stretch. So I like to actually start with my blocks under my knees and just simply let the knees come forward and rest down onto the blocks. Might take a little adjustment. And we'll pause there in your toe stretch. Make sure all 10 toes are tucked underneath you. And when you're ready, maybe you lower the blocks to the next level. Bringing the knees down a little further. Weight can be fully on the heels, and in this position you can still have the weight forward. That will take a little pressure off of the feet. When you're ready, maybe you take the knees all the way down. And then we'll shift the weight all the way forward, untuck the toes. You can give them a little pat onto the mat. And then go ahead and sink the weight back down. So you come into a hero's pose, resting the weight onto the tops of the feet and to the toes, giving a little reverse into that stretch, giving them a little welcome relief. Very good. We'll shift the weight forward. I'm going to walk myself back a little further back so I'm more centered into my mat. And we're going to open up the knees up nice and wide. Let the big toes touch and sink back into your wide-legged child's pose. Always a nice break. We're going to use this position to start from. And we're going to do a really nice barrel roll or corkscrew, just like we started off our class, where we're drawing these circles like we're inside a barrel, but we're going to do them from this child's pose shape. So from here, I want you to just take the fingertips and lift them up like you have little spider fingertips, or I like to think that you have big fluffy cupcakes underneath your hands and you don't want to smush them. And even maybe take the hips up a little higher. That might mean walking your hands a little further away from you. So now we have space between our chest and our mat. And we'll need some of that space so we can draw these circles with the thoracic portion of our body. So from here, we're going to tuck the tailbone round into the upper body. Just like we're coming into a cat shape, but we don't have a lot of room to work with here. So it's a small shape and it forces the middle part of the back to work. And then from here, we're going to start to shift the right ribs over to the right, like we're drawing that circle in a barrel. And now the right ribs come down and towards the mat. As they do, you come into this almost puppy-like shape. So I'm arching here into my into my upper back, I should say. And then now I'm starting to shift the left ribs over to the left. As I start to come back around, I start to round into the upper back, keeping the fingertips planted. And then I come over to the right into this puppy-like shape, letting the belly drop. And the upper body comes into a back bend. And then from here we round like we're in a cat shape, ready to pounce. And once more in this direction. As we come back up through cat, let's go ahead and reverse it. So this time we're going to move to the left. Lower the ribs down. Let them start to reach for the mat. Then draw the ribs over to the right. And then arch the ribs. Draw the spine up like you're inside that barrel. And you want to touch every piece of that barrel as you draw your circle. We'll do one more. And end in that cat-like shape. And let's go ahead and settle the hips back into our wide-legged child's pose. Very good. One more stretch here for our side body. We're going to walk the hands off to the right side of the mat. So this always feels really good. Nice stretch. You should already feel it from your left hip all the way to the backs of the left arm. But then I want you to take your left elbow and bend it so that the left hand comes in between the shoulder blades. And then you feel a little bit more of a stretch at the back of the left arm. Maybe even lift that left elbow up and pull it over to the right a little further. And as you plant it back down on the mat, it sticks there. And then we can set our weight back down, pressing it into the back of the left shoulder. So we're kind of leaning our weight to the left to increase that stretch. You can release the left hand. We're going to walk it over to the right. Coming into this diagonal child's pose first to get started, reaching off the left side of the mat. Reaching, reaching, reaching. And then we're going to bend that right elbow. Take the right hand in between the shoulder blades. Sink our weight back down. See how that feels. And if you want, you can pick that right elbow up. Place it even further to the left side of the mat. And then let it stay there. Plant it there as you shift the weight back down. And then maybe push some weight into that right underarm, that right elbow. Very good. Release the right arm. Walk the hands back into center. Just a quick pause here in our wide-legged child's pose. Let's take a breath. Inhale. And then exhale. Very good. We're going to walk the hands in. And then we'll come to a kneeling pose, ending with just a slight couple of back bends. We'll come into camel, and we can take a modified camel or the full variation. However you prefer, you can have your blocks beside you for a little bit of help. But we're just going to start here. You can have your knees slightly separated. It's a good point to remember. And toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels good in your body. We'll take the hands to the upper part of the glutes, fingertips facing down. Draw the elbows together. Inhale as you lift the chest. Draw the belly button in, so you're protecting the lower back by securing the core. And then you could start to lift the chest. Lift the heart center up. Think of this less about dropping the head back and think about lifting the chest up, 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 up. Maybe you lift it a little further. Keep breathing. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and bring it back to a neutral position. Pause. With this next one, we'll bring the blocks back behind us in line with our ankles. And then we're going to go ahead, inhale the right arm up, and then maybe settle it down onto the right block. So now we're in kind of a half camel, supported with our right side. Again, we're securing that belly button, drawing the core in, lifting with the chest. Right arm is on the right block. If you want to take the left arm up, inhale it up, and then we can maybe draw it over to the left block. Depends on your preference. I kind of like to have my fingertips facing behind me to open up the chest and stay wide in the collarbone, or you could have the fingertips on the front edge of the block. Keep breathing here in your camel or your modified camel. If you feel like you want to lower down, maybe take the hands all the way down to your heels, or if your toes are tucked, maybe your lifted heels, you can come into your full camel. Sometimes as we do some lateral work, our back bends become a little bit easier. And we'll pause here for a breath. Inhale. Exhale. To come out of your camel, if you're all the way down, I like to lift one arm up. Inhale. Reach it up to the sky and then start to reach towards the front of the room like it's pulling you up and off of that heel. Let's go ahead and sit back down onto the heels. You can set your blocks out of the way. Taking a little recovery twist, we'll twist the torso over to the left. Exhale. Inhale through center. Exhale to the right. Once more, returning to center. From here, our closing pose is hero. We let the shoulders rest. We move back into the breath, allowing it to slow down. We take note of how we feel within ourselves, maybe the warmth in our body, the space within our spine that we've created, the places that maybe we did not notice underneath our arms, in between the spaces of our ribs, maybe the sides of the hips, those places that we don't generally give attention to, but enjoy movement and also benefit from a well-rounded yoga practice and just well-rounded fitness in your life. On your next breath, we're going to inhale the arms up, connect the palms, and draw them down through heart center to close your practice for today. Wonderful job. As always, I hope you enjoyed this class.
If you did, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, I hope you have a great day. Make it a good one. Bye.